What happens after we die? I don't know what it looks like after death. I haven't died yet, and once I have, I doubt if I will be urgently trying to contact somebody. The paintings have been chosen deliberately, so that there is no false image. Pictures have been painted of paradise that had medieval Italian buildings, the sky, gardens, heavenly polo pitches. In fact, everything it is not. Heaven is light, with a capital L. But I can neither find any picture that comes even remotely close to what light is, nor would it help if I could, because it is just as abstract as the pictures. I also don't understand what people are seeing in near-death experiences. I have no pictures or even words for this, and this tiny, tiny snapshot was clearly to remind me of just how insignificant I was, and that I must follow orders. The most honest answer to the question, what happens to us after we die, is to simply say, we don't know. But this does not mean there are no clues, or that people have not tried to find out. So this video provides a summary with references that you can look up later of some of the things people have found. Basic principles. We have an immortal soul that never dies. Plato called it the immortal soul. New Agers call it the higher self. Hindus call it the Atman. Whatever name it has been given, it does not die. Katha Upanishad. The Atman is never born and never dies, never born and eternal, beyond times gone or to come. It does not die when the body dies. If the slayer thinks he kills, and if the slain thinks that he dies, neither knows the way of truth. The eternal in man cannot kill. The eternal in man cannot die. This is why some people call this event transition and not death, because we are moving to a new stage of our existence. It is a stage where we leave our existing body behind, and with it go all the illnesses, all the pain, all the infirmity and disabilities. There is no hunger, no thirst, no fear, no grief or sorrow, no dementia, no Alzheimer's. Indeed, the disappearance of dementia and Alzheimer's on death is called terminal lucidity. Ronald Reagan experienced a period of terminal lucidity before he died of Alzheimer's. See video, The Last Dying Moment of President Ronald Reagan. There may be good reason to dread the march of old age, but no reason at all to fear death itself, because death is released from a worn-out body, as if we were removing tattered and torn clothes in order that we can feel the warmth of the sun. The first stage, the transition. In our video on dying, we saw how people that are dying are helped. Spirit helpers often come to the dying person before they actually die to give them support. Occasionally people have visions of those who have already died and who come to provide support and comfort. The process is intended to eliminate all fear and apprehension. We die surrounded by love. In part 5 of Song of Myself, American poet Walt Whitman uses the phrase, and that a kelson of the creation is love. A kelson is like the backbone of a boat, and Whitman uses it to imply that love is the backbone of all creation. Walt Whitman. Swiftly arose and spread around me the peace and knowledge that passes all the argument of the earth. And I know that the hand of God is the promise of my own. And I know that the Spirit of God is the brother of my own. And that all the men ever born, and also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that a kelson of the creation is love. Where do we go after death? Physically, nowhere. Jacob Boehmer, Dialogues between Disciple and Master. The disciple asked his master, "Whither go the souls when they leave these mortal bodies?" His master answered, "The soul need no going forth anywhere." Disciple, "Does it not enter into heaven or hell?" Master, "No, there is no such kind of entering. The soul hath heaven and hell in itself, and whether of the two states, either heaven or hell, shall be manifested in the soul, in that it standeth. Immortal souls are invisible to us. As such they can stay where they are, whilst further processes continue, because once death has taken place, we go into Bardo. The Bardo. Bardo is a Tibetan word, which is used to describe the period between a person having died and the point where they are born into a new incarnation. It is sometimes called the life between lives, but this term is not strictly accurate, as there is no life as such. And we know this because in near-death experiences, people actually die, but consciousness is maintained. Life exists between birth into the physical and then death in the physical. In Bardo, on the other hand, one is a disembodied spirit. And we have 3 excellent sources that have provided us with details of this stage. A book called The Vision, written by W.B. Yeats from the automatic writing experiences of his wife Georgie. See the video on automatic writing and drawing on our Types of Spiritual Experience channel. Perception Recall, studies of people who have been able to regress to these past perceptions via hypnosis. And the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo Thodol. And the first stage of Bardo, as transmitted to Georgie Yeats by her helpers, was that of meditation. Meditation. Let us now look at the diagram. During meditation, all the processes in the mind needed to live a bodied existence are very gradually removed. First, the body, with all the 5 senses and nervous sensations it needed to survive in bodied form, separates from us. Indeed, as we know, parts of the body can survive some time without us. But we have no need of any functions that relate to our bodies. As such, pain and discomfort all disappear, and many of the emotions that are essentially bodily in origin also go. Anger goes, shame, fear, passion, lust. And since there is now nothing for the mind to work on, the other functions related to processing bodily messages also very gradually go. Learning from our senses goes, and we are left with perceptions and memory. But eventually memory gradually fades too. Memory is simply an adapted, classified record of our perceptions. It is not a record of what actually happened, one becomes spirit by moving closer to the truth, so memory eventually disappears. But perceptions don't. The perceptions remain an immortal record of our life as a bodied person, and thus it is that our higher spirit, or Atman, with its lifelong record of everything it did, recorded in sequence, enters into the next stage, dreaming back. Dreaming back. The creation, maintenance and subsequent destruction of the universe is called the Great Work. It is a project with a strategy and plan, but this plan must be enacted materially. It remains only a plan until it has been put into effect using material things to push the action forward. The universe is made by actual activity, not the instructions. It is as if an invisible scriptwriter had written a play destined to be played out in the theatre of life. And just like any play, we are given roles or sent as a member of the audience, and our perceptions are the record of our performance on stage or reactions as the audience. And we are indeed judged on our performance, but not to get praise or punishment, but to judge what we might be asked to do on the next incarnation, whether the script should be adjusted to ensure the objectives and plot are fulfilled. And dreaming back is used to judge not whether the person put on a good or bad performance, but how well they were able to understand and follow the script. Dr. Joel Witten and Joe Fisher. Life between life. For the purpose of self-assessment, the soul is confronted with an instantaneous panoramic flashback which contains every single detail of the last incarnation. Emanuel Swedenborg dramatized this review as a recitation from a book of an individual's conduct between birth and death. But the experience of Dr. Witten's subjects is that the process is more immediate and all-enveloping, an absolute reliving of the last life. Said one subject, "It's like climbing right inside a movie of your life. Every moment from every year of your life is played back in complete sensory detail, total recall, and it all happens in an instant. But whilst you may judge your own actions and even be helped to see where you went wrong in your own estimation, no such judgments are made by the assessment panel." Dr. Joel Witten and Joe Fisher. Life between life. The Board of Judgment. The testimony of Dr. Witten's subjects endorses the existence of a Board of Judgment. If there is a private hell in the life between life, it is the moment when the soul presents itself for review. For example, a woman who could not forgive herself for an act of betrayal in her previous existence expressed her burden of guilt with classical Christian symbolism. I am on one knee, holding a large cross over my right shoulder. My whole anima is convulsing with remorse, sadness, guilt, mourning. I cannot look up at the three for sheer shame. Yet all around me there is a glowing warmth of blue rays and peace, a peace I am unable to fathom. So I repeat, we are not judged by those looking to see if it was sinful or wicked according to our own conscience. Morals and good behaviour are humanity's to decide. The spirit world judges only what adjustments must be made to the plan to counter mistakes or lack of fidelity to the plan. and only holds auditions to assess who does what next. Given that the true record of what happened as perceived by us is being assessed, we cannot escape the truth, or as Omar Khayyam said, the moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash out a word of it. But what use is punishment after one is dead? And how can we judge what is right or wrong? All we can ever do is follow our conscience and be open to instruction whilst we are living. See the symbolism of ash and all 50 shades of grey. Shifting. We do not know the full script of the play deliberately, and sometimes we are given both tasks and a personality which our fellow humans judge as bad, which were in fact planned. And sometimes we think we are doing good, but we are not only messing up the play, but have gone completely off script. Called to the shiftings by the Yeats, this stage enables the spirit to experience other perceptions and thus follow cause and effect through to its conclusion. As the spirit has no sensations or feelings, there is no suffering. But there is the chance to totally experience what our actions did by using the perceptions of those we have affected. It is called the shiftings because our spirit relives the perceptions of those it has affected as though they were its own. One suspects that this may be the hell that many have experienced. In effect, consciousness shifts its perspective so that a complete picture is obtained of the truth, the sum total of all the truths. This is intended to help the spirit build up a more complete picture of cause and effect, and thus recognize the pattern, avoiding or repeating it in the next life. Beatitude. We are now halfway through the process, and as you might expect, evidence of what happens starts to get very, very weak as we move over the figurative cusp in the cycle towards the next incarnation. Beatitude is the next stage and is described as a time of supreme blessedness and peace. It is the only stage that could be equated to paradise. Yeats wrote that the spirit at this stage was out of space and time, had established a state of harmony, and could be regarded as perfect and completely pure, having been wiped clean. Foreknowledge and pre-birth. Beyond beatitude, the immortal soul then moves towards birth, its part decided by the judgment processes. A person may be disembodied for only a very short time, sometimes only a matter of weeks or months before it is born in a new body. However, there are some souls taking on very specific tasks that can wait the equivalent of hundreds of our years before their time comes. How long we remain disembodied is dependent on our new destiny. Dr. Joel Witten and Joe Fisher, Life Between Life, Planning the Next Life. While at liberty to reject the judge's planning advice, the soul is ill-advised to scorn their counsel, for rejection of the recommendations means that reincarnation will take place without a ratified plan, an open invitation to a life of unproductive and unnecessary trial and hardship. To be reborn without a plan is also a matter of choice, The trouble is, with no script to follow, the soul becomes a reed shaken by the wind, a victim of fate rather than a participant in destiny. No penalty is incurred for failing to heed the three, save that of a particularly remorseful self-confrontation at the end of the life that most probably will have been wasted. The new birth. We have been made aware of the next part of the plan in which we will be involved, and thus what our new destiny will be. There appears to be a consensus that if we do not pull our weight, our lives get progressively harder. Less challenging tasks, but more unfortunate circumstances. We are given a mask. See the video, the symbolism of the personality and the mask. And no one is given a destiny they would be unable to fulfill, though at times it may seem quite daunting. And no one is left without the necessary personal attributes that enable them to complete the tasks. Our past perceptions are closed off. This happens just before birth, so that in theory at least, we are not consciously aware of past lives. Apparently, we are regarded as being in the shadow world by the intelligences once born, and are seen as if down a hole in a dark, dingy realm. Thus this is not a time of particular merriment. This stage is often accompanied by a period of resistance from some higher spirits as they come to terms not only with the fact they have to be born into life again, but also their role in life, their destiny, is going to be hard. It appears we choose our parents, and thus our circumstances of birth, as well as the time of conception. We are, in effect, spirit babies waiting to be born to the parents we, or the spirit world, has chosen. We gradually start to acquire the functions needed for the physical realm, the emotions, the five senses, the imagination, the functions of memory. And then we are born. Dr. Joel Whitten and Joe Fisher, Life Between Life, recalling the Bardo's script. So, is it possible to tell as life is proceeding whether we are being true to our between life intentions? The answer must come from within. Those who are living out their karmic scripts have an inner sense that life is unfolding as it should. Those who have strayed from their blueprint feel instead that everything is out of control. Chaos rules. Like actors hopelessly unaware of their lines, as they step out into the spotlight, they are forced to extemporize as the drama of life unfolds.